you and I about a year ago placed a small wager on the presidency. How are you? What's your confidence level at this point? Because I
$100, right?
So
mine changes all the time.
The bets. If I recall, we made two bets. One was the Republican primary, and I got everybody except Trump. And on that one, losing confidence, losing confidence fast. It is still, I think, more likely than most years to have a black swan event where somebody either dies or like prison or something.
A lot of old folks
get to that age, anything can happen.
Yeah. So like Obama, for example, after he got the nomination, he got it, right? Like he was going to be the guy on the, but Trump, we don't know till the last day that he's going to be the guy on the ballot. So, but I still feel like I'm most likely to lose that.
What was your other one though? Because
who was going to win the general was the other one.
Okay.
And
so it would be a wash. I think they were both for $100.
In that case, I also got everybody but Trump, but I'm not positive.
Sure.
I might have just had Biden. Well, there's a difference because Biden could die. You know, I mean, Newsom versus Trump is like not unrealistic because Biden and Trump every day could be their last day.
Or Kamala, even.
Isn't that wild to have that people like who are running so old that like if both of them died on like the same day, it'd be like, that's life. Like there'd be nobody would be like, the CIA used a heart attack gun to use a dart. And it's like, no, they both died. Look at them. They're old as fuck.
That's how I am with the Kansas making the Super Bowl. Like, there's got to be something fishy about that.
By the way, that heart attack gun doesn't shoot a dart.
They're the modern Patriots. But
it doesn't shoot
Zach said I had everyone other than Trump in both votes. So I'm good. I'm glad that I was past Woody was clever and set myself up.
We'll roll the tape back. We'll get the exact verbiage.
What were the amounts though?
I think it was $100.
$100.
Yeah.
Was it dual hundreds?
Maybe. I don't really care about any of that. I'm just wondering. I want to take your temperature.
Okay, all right. So the temperature is, I think it's going to be a push. I think I'm going to win the general, and I'm going to lose the primary bet.
Did I bet?
Okay,
Zach?
so the temperature is that you think Biden. You're confident in Biden at this juncture.
I think Biden will beat. Most likely, Biden beats Trump in the general. That's how I think it's.
Even with a looming civil war and the Houthis on attack.
Even with that,
honestly, I think that the Israel issue will be as much in the rearview mirror as the Ukraine issue is now. Like Ukraine, you remember, it sort of dominated our attention a year ago ish. Now, no one's watching it. The YouTubers I watch who would give daily updates on it, these are like Ukrainians, so it's biased. They don't even make videos anymore. I'm like, why are you guys not interested anymore?
They don't want to cover
and
losing.
Like,
it's just a stalemate.
Like, by the time we don't care about Israel, Trump will be the president, though. That's the timeline if you're apples to apples.
So I think 6 months. So
6 months was too late. Like they're gonna.
We're 2 months in, right? So it'll be April. That
the people
Israel
that you're counting on to forget are Arabs who think their people are being genocided.
Well, they are don't. Genocided. That's why they think that.
Yeah, that does seem to be what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they'll forget.
Kyle, don't you pay attention to that footage? You know, that footage. Don't pay attention to that.
Taylor, going back to Tolkien, do you remember what Thorin? He never forgave and he never forgot. And that's how the Arabs are. And that's how they're going to be in Michigan and Minnesota, all up there in those countries where those counties where they happily flooded with immigrants, dreamers, if you will, fish, who have those people are not going to vote for Biden.
So you're right. I agree with that. I don't know if they're going to vote for Trump either. Like Trump will do. If you ask Trump how he would handle Israel, he'll just be like, it had never happened if I was president. The power of my personality would have prevented that war.
Yeah,
there'd be peace in the Middle East because I'm there.
I would, whatever's unpopular right now, I wouldn't do it. But believe me, and you can listen to this. Believe me, I definitely wouldn't get on my knees again and suck off Bibi Netanyahu to completion. That definitely wouldn't be what I would. Like, that's what he would do.
Now. They don't like each other. He took shots at Bibi when it happened. Said it was a failure of his for allowing it to happen.
All right, good. Not denying that, but. Like Trump and Lindsey Graham, Trump and Ted Cruz, Trump and a long list of people were mortal enemies who became friends. So I think if Trump thought it was in his best interest to be friends with Bibi, he'd just he'd turn on a dime.
You can see who Trump leaves the room to like be friends again. Nikki Haley's out. They're not going to be friends. They might be She might. I don't even know if she'll ever endorse him when she drops out. I don't think she'll give him her endorsement or whatever. You know, like they all do. I don't think she'll bend the knee. So
Ted Cruz didn't.
Well, Ted Cruz bent the knee in other ways, right? He needed that federal money.
Zodiac killer.
He needed that federal money because he was he's in Texas.
I'm just saying, it seems like it's never too late. But carry on, make your point.
I think that people like Chris Christie, he's on the out. He's not coming back into the fold. He's been too mean, and Trump has been too mean. And Trump said something to this the other day. He's like, they asked if maybe Haley could be his VP pick, and he's like, sometimes you say something about people, and how's that going to be your VP now? And I remember what you asked me a few weeks ago. You asked if she could be the VP. I said she's a lightweight. How am I going to have somebody be my VP that I myself have said was a lightweight? Wouldn't work. And it's like, yeah, you're right. He's almost saying, like, no, I ruled her out when I said that. I say nicer, mean things about the people I intend to make my VP.
It's funny because, like, again, Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, they were hard rivals, right? And the Ted Cruz, what do you say? His father was a serial killer.
His wife was ugly, and his daddy was the Zodiac killer.
Yeah,
right. And they bounced back from that. That to me is like all the that's scorched earth, and then it unscorched.
That's more.
There's no way they like.
That says more about Ted Cruz than Donald Trump, though.
Yeah, I was going to say Ted Cruz and a lot of these guys, though, they'd like do anything just to remain relevant.
Yeah, and Lindsey Graham said harsh shit about Trump also. Like Lindsey Graham was like, he's going to destroy the Republican Party, and we're going to deserve it. Right now, the Democrats play that on a loop. Like, see, it happened. And I don't know what Ted Cruz said about Trump, but I'm sure it was some awful stuff.
Yeah, they go back and forth.
But they're politicians. They see the way the wind is blowing, and then they act accordingly.
So Taylor's agreeing with my point.
Yeah,
which is, sometimes when these things seem dead and gone, they can come back. And Trump has an ability to forgive because he's really more calculated than emotional. Well, he's both.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott? Do you give a shit who wins? I'd prefer Trump, but I'm not as confident as Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I used to pay a lot of attention to politics, but I'm out of the loop now. I guess I would rather have Trump than Biden because I go to the grocery store and a half gallon of milk is $5.
Yeah, I'm getting real fucking sick of the grocery store. It's so goddamn expensive now.
Yeah, I think that's
groceries.
That doesn't happen to us. We just get it delivered.
Yeah, these two haven't stepped foot in a grocery store forever. Us common men that still walk amongst the aisles, picking our expensive fucking chicken.
I'm on the ground in the aisles.
I was actually reading the details on that, and food's more expensive. I don't mean to deny it, but housing is the one that's really inflated out of line with the other things. Like gas is cheaper. Gas is cheap, especially inflation adjusted. So energy costs are kind of low, but housing costs, ouch.
Housing, renting, and
very cheap.
Food as a whole. I was reading how like they often change the gauge on the consumer price index, and if they're lowering the percentage of it that's dictated by meat sales because meat sales have gone down, and so their rationale is, well, meat sales have gone down, and so now it's not as big a picture of it, so we'll replace that with cereals and things that really haven't gone up that much. But the reason meat's gone down in consumption is because of the price.
Do you think
like meat in particular is?
I've always hated
CPI. It's not
CPI is a bullshit measure.
The consumer price index is a good way of gauging how it's affecting like middle class people, much more so than like GDP, which is really gauging how well the most successful companies and its shareholders.
The GDP is gauging how much America's making, basically. But the problem with the consumer price index, another thing they do is they substitute stuff, right? So like if margarine gets expensive and that's in there now, they just swap it with butter. They got people buy butter instead. If meat gets expensive, like you called out, then they're like, oh, well, people aren't buying as much meat, so let's just make meat a smaller part of the CPI. Yeah. And it just makes the CPI, in my mind, a bit of a bullshit index that, like,
I mean, they work a lot of it, but if anything, the point you're making is that the CPI is worse for average people than the number they even put forth, because they're under including how much people would purchase meat if it were at the price it was 4 years ago.
I hear you. But then, on other days, the CPI will get it wrong in the other direction. So I just think the CPI is
not perfect.
It's
Ground
too
beef
fucking
is
flexible. They just make
Ground
up
beef is
bullshit. So the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, they take this market basket of goods, right? I don't know if housing's in it, but let's pretend it is because I don't know any better. And they'll be like, this is how much the one bedroom apartment is. This is how much butter is. This is how much meat is. This is how much a new fucking tire for your car is. Boom. And then they watch these particular items go up and down. And then if butter goes too out of whack, they just put margarine in there instead. If people stop buying meat, then they just put less of it in that market basket. And it's it's so fucking changeable. And like you can't compare 2024 to 2019 because the basket changed. And I don't like that about it.
Yeah, but it again, the point is that it's changed worse than the basket showing. Because they're including better. At this point in time, it's worse than what it's showing because they're replacing like high desirability items like meat with lower ones that aren't as price sensitive like cereals and grains.
Maybe that'll help with global warming because if we eat less meat, then they'll raise less cattle on those industrial farms.
No, I want even more cows farting into the atmosphere, giving us a methane shield against the sun flares.
It's actually the belching because of the rumination. Yeah.
Oh, it's not even farts?
It's partially farts, but if there was a ratio, it's going to be far more belching.
Apparently, for reasons I don't understand, belching and farting are both considered flatulence. And it's
because they ruminate because they have those multiple chambered stomachs.
I thought ruminate meant to stop and think. Is that
it's applied in that way too because the ruminating is when it's digestion is this long process with the multi-chambered stomach that they use to get nutrients out of that fucking grass that they eat, which is amazing if you think about the machine that a cow is, that it can take a fucking grass in the field and make a steak out of it.
Even when they feed them grains and stuff, like some people have this idea that it's worse for them and the meat's not as good. But like I've seen people be like, this is how much grain a cow eats. That grain could feed this many people. And it's like, do you have any idea what kind of grain cows are getting fed? That's not your grocery store grains. Like you're going to break your teeth eating that nonsense.
The corn that's not corn, like all the stalks and all that stuff. Where's that go?
Animals. They chop it up. Yeah.
Silage, right?
Silage.
They don't turn that into fuel too, do they? I feel like that's something they do.
They use they grow corn just for fuel, to make
which part of the corn do they use? It's not just the ear, right? Is it the whole plant?
I don't know. They get ethanol out of it.
I thought they were making the ethanol out of like some process that they use on the corn kernels.
It'd be like
ethanol, total bullshit.
Ethanol is alcohol.
Yeah, it's total bullshit. Yeah, absolutely.
They use almost as much energy to make the ethanol as they get from the ethanol.
It's just a program. It's a job. It's money flowing. It's sort of a net neutral.
You know why we have it?
A lot of work for no reason.
Because Iowa is the first state in the primary, and politically, you cannot fuck with Iowa if you want to have any kind of political future. So
it's interesting.
That E85 shit corrodes old school fuel lines and stuff because it's more. Acidic's not the right word. Corrosive. And
it seems like ethanol, like it's just alcohol, and that's like so dense. It seems like it would be a good fuel.
Well, it's just how expensive it is to produce versus
because there's
petroleum. Petroleum's bursting out of the ground, begging to be converted into hundreds and thousands of amazing products that we use every day.
I say we let's just use all the oil.
We're not even close.
Yeah, I know. Like there's so much more. We haven't even figured out all the good ponds of oil under the sea.
So when they come up with they'll be like, we have 80 years worth of oil left, and then 5 years will go by, and look. Now we've got 90 years left. It's like, wait, what happened? Did consumption go down? Actually, consumption went up. We found more. And technology is always racing ahead. So those oil deposits that we used to not be able to access, that were deeper, further, harder to get to, now we can get all that. So it's there's constantly more oil. We're never running out, and it doesn't matter when we do. I don't believe in the global warming thing. I've gone full fucking right wing on that one.
Since we're talking oil and politics,
I'll be there with you, sure.
What do you think of Texas trying to leave America?
Not just Texas.
Good.
Look.
Good. Okay.
I sent you that Charlie Daniels song the other day. But I'm glad you didn't listen to it because you just made fun of me.
I did listen to it.
It's funny. There's an A24 movie coming out about an American Civil War, and I think in that one maybe
A24.
A24 is a movie studio. They make lots of really good stuff. So I think in that one, Texas and Zach, pull me up the new movies like Split, red states, blue states, or whatever you want to call it, north, south. Because because Cali breaks off as well in this scenario and I saw a little preview for it. I don't like to watch too much of a preview. I just like to get a vibe. I don't want the whole story. And it's got Fat Damon, aka Meth Damon, if you remember that actor.
Breaking Bad.
He's like an American soldier, like all cocky with his M16 and his, he's dressed in his BDUs or whatever, and there's like civilians or whatever, and they're like, we're Americans, don't shoot. And he goes, yeah, but what kind of American? And I was like, ooh, I kind of want to see that movie now. I kind of want to see that. I liked that moment. He's a good actor anyway.
I kind of want to see the movie because I'm curious about it. Isn't A24? Do they make good movies or do they make like right wing propaganda?
No. That's fucking Ben
Daily Wire and crazy. They're not comparable to them.
No, this is more like artistic, like highbrow, well-made, independent films. Often, not independent,
I misjudged it then.
They make good movies. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, the best movie studio, Daily Wiring me when you said
no. This is going to be a watchable.
I don't think
you tricked me like you did with Mandy.
No, Mandy was a good movie. You're crazy for not liking Mandy, but yeah, I saw that like Daily Wire shit is so fucking embarrassing. It's so badly done.
Players, right?
It's like they're trying to cash in on the trans thing, and it's like, I get it, like you're doing your bit, but it's so ham-handed. It's so unnatural the way they have the dialogue because they're not trying. The entire reason for the movie is for them to get those points out they want to make. Like everything else is window dressing surrounding it. Like the way an actual movie that's meant to be propaganda is successful is you have it be like little subversive threads throughout it. Something that's not hammering someone over the head with what you're trying to convince them of. Make them arrive at the conclusion on their own. Show, don't tell. And these retards like Ben Shapiro think they can just make a movie the same style that they debate 11-year-olds, and it doesn't work. I don't know anybody who likes that guy at this point in time.
Ben
Shapiro? I'm sure there are, but I don't know
Carlson
anyone.
Likes him. Russell Brand likes him.
Tucker likes him. I don't watch Tucker. I've seen clips from Tucker where I'm like, that's actually kind of funny.
They're kind of cross promoting right now. Like they're all in the independent sort of right wing news ecosystem, and so they Russell Brand shows up on Ben Shapiro's thing, and they tell each other how smart they are. And
you know what they need to do? They need to get that.
All right, you're doing pretty well so far. Let's get that done.
Dude, that'd be funny if like Biden fell during a speech or something, and like his penis fell out, and it was like tiny. And then the next episode, Woody comes on, and he's like, "I just am over him. I don't like this guy. This guy's the worst. He doesn't have what it takes to be a leader. He's weak, a frail old man." Like,
let me say this: Biden has a schlong, and let me tell you how I know, because his son has a big one. All right.
Dude, if he fell out, he had just a giant old man dick. You like maybe next episode, no. Kyle and I are like, maybe there's something to this guy.
When Marjorie Taylor Greene broke out those giant, cut out, blown up photos of Hunter Biden's cock and like a woman's hand. There's a photo where he's taking a picture of a woman holding his cock like this, like in both hands. And it's like, it's longer than her hands and she's not at the base. It's a big old dick she's holding. So she's just put this big black rectangle over his cock, and she was generous. It's like that Simpsons episode where Flanders is showering and they blur his dick down to his knee.
Yeah.
And so there she is in the hall, in those hollowed halls that, not poop on the walls. And not the same.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is infatuated with Hunter's dick. She
just
brings
down the hall.
It was like, I gotta go to Kinko's again.
It's just down the hall from where the staffers butt fuck each other, I'm sure. But she's got this big picture of him of the
That's
cock.
where the poop really came from.
Yeah. So my bet is that I bet. Now I'll say this: I bet if there was a dick measuring contest, I think Biden might win it based on what I've said here.
Against his son?
Against Trump.
Oh,
Trump
yeah, maybe
for a small dick.
Don't make it weird.
You're right. I'm sorry.
They say Trump's dick is small, but it's always people that hate him, like Stormy Daniels, and
yeah.
Actually, she's the only one I know.
Can't really. Yeah.